Okay, let's talk about this even further because this is a serious case. We want to be joined by legal analyst and expert Andrew Lieb. He's joining us live via Zoom. Andrew, thanks for being with us. You were just watching kind of a replay there of some of those statements from the defense team of Stewart Rhodes. I would argue that seditious conspiracy of the almost 800 defendants the DOJ has brought, that is the most serious charge, and a jury found Rhodes guilty of it. What does it mean? Let's walk through kind of the historical parallels of this. It's quite rare, is it not?
It's completely rare, but it has that wowness just from its label. So since the 90s, we've only seen 4 different charges. Since the 90s, 4 charges of seditious conspiracy. And the last time they did it, which was back, I want to say 20 years ago, they threw it out completely. The judge says, forget this. We don't need this. I want to correct myself. It was 2010 in Michigan. The judge said, this isn't even a charge. And the reason why is it harpens on First Amendment freedom of speech rights, and people get concerned over whether we cross the line from freedom of speech to using force in a conspiracy to overthrow the government, to the will of the government. So this is a big red herring in the law to silence freedom of speech.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the DOJ would probably chalk this up as a victory. We know that other defendants for their role in January 6th were charged with much, lesser crimes, other misdemeanors and the like. But seditious conspiracy, let's talk about what penalties that it might carry. What is Stewart Rhodes and some of these co-defendants, what are they looking at for jail time? I know the lawyers said they're going to appeal, but it's quite onerous. It's quite heavy, isn't it?
Well, I want to first start on that appeal statement because I thought it was odd how the lawyers went out of their way to say they received a fair trial, but they're appealing. Usually you don't say the trial was good while you're appealing, so I found that odd. But to answer your question, it carries up to 20 years in jail for just that one count. And there were 13 counts that we had against these fellas, and not everyone, as they accurately said, got guilty of all of them. But we don't know if they're going to have concurrent sentences or it's just going to stack up against each other. 20 years, and we're going to hear this in about 90 days when the judge does sentencing.
Yeah, no, I thought they were, peculiarly deferential to both the judge and the prosecution, at least the defense team in their remarks, kind of lauding their efforts. They're not going to talk to the jury. The jury doesn't want to talk to them, apparently. But, Andrew, Stewart Rhodes, he's a Yale law grad. He was brought up on the stand. He said he didn't want to take a plea bargain. And so, he's not some, person who's not accustomed to ways of the law. He studied it at Yale. But then again, he didn't really take the advice of his lawyers. They didn't want him to get up on the stand, and they wanted, I think, him to take a plea bargain. At least he wasn't going to do that.
I think that you always need to listen to your lawyers, and the worst devil for a lawyer is your client who thinks they know better than you. They say an attorney who represents himself as a fool for a client because you let your own emotions get involved. So their defense has really been that Mr. Rhodes and Miss Meggs, they're patriots. That's what the defense was. We're patriots. We were trying to save the country. And as we can see, the jury, the 12 jurors, did not agree with that. I will point out that Mr. Rhodes is a disbarred lawyer, not that I went to Yale in the first place, but at the end of the day, maybe he should have had deference to the legal team, and it would have been wise to think about taking a settlement. I will tell you a plea, though, is likely in the future based on this with other like defendants, because now that they see that seditious conspiracy will fly, lots of different people are going to be pleading and becoming governmental witnesses.
Yeah, and then, of course, it was kind of inevitable. One of the reporters asked, okay, so the DOJ, they got this conviction here. Of course, we know the investigation is happening there with former President Trump's role in January 6th. The defense lawyers for Rhodes were asked about whether or not this portends possibly a conviction for the former president or whether that Trump should be indicted. Those defense team lawyers said, absolutely not. What say you?
Well, I'll start off by saying the evidence from what we know, and I have to point out that this is a federal trial, so there wasn't video in the courtroom where, unless you were there every day, you don't know everything that was said. But the evidence that we know is that Rhodes wasn't exactly in contact with Trump. He was always at arm's length away. So I don't think the specific evidence of this case is going to hurt Trump. What's going to hurt Trump is all other people charged now have fear in their eyes. All these other people say, oh, shoot, this thing that was never charged in years and doesn't happen this 20 years, it's real. It's going to happen to me. And so I think they're all thinking tonight, maybe it's time to make a plea with the government. And if one of those people have dirt on Trump or anyone else, they're going to use that dirt because your allegiance comes second to your own skin, we find with criminal defendants.
Okay, Andrew, just what, about 2 Fridays ago, Merrick Garland announced that special prosecutor, the special counsel Jack Smith. You think Jack Smith was watching this conviction pretty closely today?
If he wasn't, he shouldn't be the special prosecutor. This is a big arsenal he has, because prosecutors, what they do, they work on getting people to flip. That's a real key. That's how they get the evidence. And using what happened here and this test case, that's what this was, is going to be a real thing moving forward against Trump and other people. Now, I can't tell you that means that Trump is going to be charged or that he's going to be guilty. What I am going to tell you, though, is someone that has dirt today is saying, oh, shoot, I have problems. I better go speak to my lawyer. And unlike Rhodes, listen to my lawyer and make a deal with the prosecutor before I'm in jail.
You know, just lastly, when you talk about some of the other defendants, possibly other people who are in some of these right-wing militia group circles, are they going to think twice about trying to formulate any plans like this in the future?
I don't know that I want to link it just to right wing.
Okay.
I think when you go on radical on any side, what you find eventually, radical people always feel the wrath of the government. We have to realize that people want balance. They want people to be someone we could see in the grocery store and feel good that they're standing in line with us. So you're going to see the Oath Keepers have further trials coming up. We have the Proud Boys coming up with trials. You know, what we've learned in recent elections is that this fringe politics does not win elections. So moving forward, I think they have fear and they're going to start flipping on each other. But just to be clear, when someone's radicalized, I do not believe that logic ever makes an illogical person become logical. So your question presupposes that the illogical person will be swayed through logic, and I just don't see that.
Okay. Andrew Lieb, we appreciate your time. We'll leave it at that, and we will definitely be speaking again. Thanks so much.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.